The Big Ten is controlling all the college football playoff expansion talk. You know, the one to 14 teams, not 12. Plus, Caitlin Clark's going pro. We got a lot to get to. Lockdown Big Ten starts right now.
You are Locked On Big Ten, your daily podcast on the Big Ten Conference. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome to Lockdown Big Ten. I'm Craig Sheeman. Thank you for making us your first listen each and every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. It's part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And this episode is brought to you by Nissan. Are you the kind of driver that likes to push things a little further? Ever wonder what adventure could be around the next corner? Take the Nissan Rogue, Nissan Pathfinder, or Nissan Armada and go find your next big adventure. Check them all out today at nissanusa.com. All right, so today we are going to talk about the Big Ten and a little bit with the SEC controlling the future of the college football playoff expansion talk. We're already moving to 14 teams. Plus, Caitlin Clark is going pro. Chop Robinson is blowing people's minds at the combine. Let's get to it. Plus, we'll have our picks going into the weekend. Be sure to subscribe and follow Locked On Big Ten for free wherever you get your podcast. That way you get the latest episode of this podcast as soon as it becomes available each and every day. All right, college football. I mean, we haven't even seen the ink dry on the agreement to expand from 4 teams to 12 teams into college football playoffs. Now the higher-ups, in fact, before they even got out the door with the 12-team agreement, are already talking about expanding to 14 teams. It's crazy, right? Well, we talked about that a couple of weeks ago, so that's no big secret. But apparently, according to playoff chair Bill Hancock, says a final decision on expanding to 14 teams needs to be done here by the middle of March. So after the January 2026 championship, we have no further plans. We just have the 12-team playoff for this upcoming season and the season after that. They left it open, even though they got the big 6-year TV deal and all that. They're going to expand it, but they got to make the decisions now. So, I mean, from what I hear, it's happening. 14-team playoff is happening. Now, as usual, everyone has to iron out things like who's getting in, who gets the money. It's probably the first thing. And who's in charge. So the ESPN TV deal is in place for another 6 years. It's over $1 billion a year. But they're all set with that. So they're probably driving some of this as well. But no matter what happens, the Big Ten is in great shape. And Commissioner Tony Petitti will have a big say in shaping the path moving forward. He already does. Word on the street right now is that the Big Ten and the SEC, when we expand to 14, will each get one of the 2 first-round buys. All right? 2 teams with buys, 12 other teams. No matter what, it's going to be a Big Ten team and an SEC team. No matter what, no matter who's ranked where. That's the word right now. Obviously, other conferences are pushing back on it, so it's not final. But that's what's being discussed right now. That's Tony Petitti in there. As of now, it also appears that 3 automatic qualifiers or teams from the Big Ten and 3 from the SEC will get in. There's 6 spots right there. 2 Big 12 and 2 ACC teams will get spots. There will be 1 group of 5 team and then 3 at-larges. That would include Notre Dame if they're ranked in the top 14. There you have it. Now, 2 quick thoughts right here. One of them is a bit of a sidebar. Can we quit making exceptions for Notre Dame? Can we please? Look, it's time to get off their holy rear end and get themselves into a conference. What are we doing? I mean, this week, lowly UMass just joined the MAC because they couldn't be independent anymore. They got to get in with a conference. That leaves UConn and Notre Dame as the only 2 independents in football in the entire country. Why? Why are they? Look, I think teams should just stop scheduling them, kind of put the pressure on them to force their hand and to join a conference. Notre Dame, glorious team of history and tradition from yesteryear. They're no more special than Michigan or Ohio State or Oregon or USC. What's the big deal? Why are we allowing them to cling on to that independent? Just get with the program. And so we don't have to make special, except there's always an asterisk on playoff plans and Notre Dame. Why? Wouldn't you love that for your school if you were a Michigan alum? Wouldn't you love that for your school if you were a Buckeye alum? Yeah, you would. Secondly, if the highest ranked group of 5 team is, for example, Liberty at 23, they're getting in. They're getting one of the 14 spots. I don't like that. I mean, why, if you're the 14th ranked team in the country and you get left out because we got to let like 23rd ranked Liberty in, I don't think many people are going to like that. Liberty will. Also, why the cap of 3 teams for the Big Ten as automatic qualifiers? They got 18 members. It's going to go up. The SEC has 16. I expect both conferences to grow further. I don't know what the final number is. I can't predict it. 20, 22, 24, 30. I don't know. At that point, 3 doesn't seem like enough. So, I don't know if the number of the proposed qualified teams that get in automatically is equal to the size of the quality of the conference. Doesn't seem like it. However, I'm thinking out loud, I guess, and hypothetically, 1 to 3 more Big Ten teams could get those at-large spots, perhaps, depending on rankings. Rest assured, no matter what is decided, Commissioner Tony Petitti and the Big Ten, they will not agree to anything that shortchanges the Big Ten. Ditto for SEC Commissioner Greg Swanky. Those 2 hold all the cards. Their conferences make all the money. Their teams are the ones that lead in ratings that the TV types just drool over. Whatever the Big Ten and the SEC say moving forward, it's pretty much what goes. So I'm curious as to why we've settled on jumping from 12 to 14. I thought even though it's inevitable we're going to jump, I thought we'd jump to 16 teams. So anyway, I've yet to hear a really good reason why 14 would be the number. I think that's weird. Having said all that, I will also continue to argue that the more that we expand the college football playoffs, the more that we are ruining and watering down the college football regular season. We just are. I'm actually a little bit old school, and that I prefer that we remain at 4. I know I'm in the minority there, but it's simple. It features the best of the best ready to go, and it means something. The excitement of each and every Saturday is there because every game is important. Regular season games are like mini playoff games each week. We go expanding. You can put a safety net under these teams, and it's not going to have the same thrill. Look, I'll give you a perfect example. Let's go back in time, Michigan, Ohio State. If Kyle McCord, throws that 4th quarter interception against Michigan, Michigan seals the win. They know that they're going to move on to the Big Ten championship. There's the agony of defeat for Ohio State. It's a big moment either way, no matter who you're rooting for. Let's say going into that game, we know that both teams are already going to the playoffs no matter what. And then that play happens. Like, okay, whatever. And now Michigan, because they won that game, they have to put themselves at risk with another game because they got to play the Big Ten championship game, make sure they don't get hurt, make sure they don't lose. Meanwhile, Ohio State wouldn't. They would just sit at home and wait for the first playoff game. That's not fair. I don't like that. And we can reverse the roles. If you're a Buckeye fan or Michigan fan, you know what I'm talking about. We also have the real possibility of Michigan playing Ohio State in November. And now, because they're getting rid of the divisions, they can just turn around and play each other again the next week in a Big Ten championship game. Very likely that that's going to happen at some point. And then if that's not crazy enough, they could then, because it doesn't matter who wins that game, because both teams are ranked, they're both in the top 14, both qualifying. They can play a third time in a 3 to 5 week period. It's ridiculous. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. I think it's dumb. And I think I just laid out the case why. It's hard to argue against me. We've turned the uniqueness of weekly college football every Saturday now into a best of 3 MLB wildcard series. A 3-game series. It's ridiculous. Or what if the schools in that scenario, for example, wins the regular season game and the Big Ten championship, but then the other team wins the playoff game? The other team moves on, but the other team beat you twice within 3 weeks, 5 weeks. It's crazy. It's great for sports talk radio. It's great for podcasts. It's bad for college football. I don't like it. I know the train's already going down the tracks. I know it can't be stopped. That's my opinion on it. What about you guys? Hit me up on Twitter at X, Talk Big Ten number 10. Also our website, talkbig10number10.com. Don't forget comments on YouTube as well. We will get to all those. I'll be on it all weekend, checking it out, looking for you guys. So love to hear from you on all of that. Caitlin Clark broke a scoring record again. I'll explain that. By the way, she's going pro. Announced that on Thursday. Tom Izzo getting tired of explaining his lineup. We'll have all that. Plus, Chop Robinson he's amazing at the combine. We got all that. It's coming up here in 1 minute right here on Locked On Big Ten. Are you the kind of driver that likes to push things a little further? Ever wonder what adventure could be around the next corner? Our friends at Nissan have a lineup of SUVs with the capabilities to take your adventure to the next level. We got the 2024 Nissan Rogue, perfect for city drives and great escapes. And also the 2024 Nissan Pathfinder has room up to 8, got an expansive cargo capacity and advanced available 4x4 capability. And the 2024 Nissan Armada, it'll change what you expect from a full-size SUV. Kind of picture a rugged 4x4 that could seat up to 8 in class, luxury, and style. It's awesome. Here's what you need to do. Take the Nissan Rogue, Nissan Pathfinder, and Nissan Armada and go find your next big adventure. Here's where you could go. You could go to shopnissanusa.com. That's shopnissanusa.com. Hey, I want to thank all you guys for checking us out and making Locked On Big Ten your first listen each and every day, especially everydayers out there. And meanwhile, I always ask you, if you don't mind, if you could just quickly subscribe. It's free. Just click it, and that's all you have to do. No other information out there that you need to give. Meanwhile, be sure to subscribe on YouTube and share and follow and like Locked On Big Ten, your team every day. We would really appreciate it. And then don't forget to check out our website, talkbig10number10.com. All right, some news out of Iowa. Iowa superstar Caitlin Clark has announced that she is going pro, and she will forego a remaining year of eligibility that she had. All the NCAA players got the extra year of eligibility because of the COVID year. She's played her 4 years. She had one more left if she wanted it, but she's going to go to the WNBA. She is the overwhelming favorite to be the number 1 pick of the WNBA draft, and that pick right now belongs to the Indiana Fever. So we wish her well and hope that all of her success in college follows her into the professional ranks. Now, we have to clear up something because there was a bit of a story out there. 2 weeks ago, fans celebrated the fact that Iowa's Caitlin Clark broke the all-time NCAA women's scoring mark. Iowa even commemorated the event by putting a new logo on their basketball floor from the spot where she hit a deep three-pointer in order to break Kelsey Plum's record for the all-time Division I scoring record. All right? So you may have been a little bit confused Wednesday night or Thursday morning to hear that when Clark scored 33 points in the Hawkeyes' 108-60 win over Minnesota this week, that she had surpassed Lynette Woodard for the major college scoring record with 3,650 points. What are we talking about? Well, Woodard played for the Kansas Jayhawks in the AIAW era. Now, you might be thinking, what was that, like in the 1920s or something? No. She played in the late 70s and early 80s. The problem was that the NCAA did not sanction women's basketball until 1982. They don't recognize any of the records before then. So, in fact, Iowa basketball coach Lisa Bluter was the one that really pointed this out at length and described that she says that Woodard was the real scoring leader until Wednesday night. And she criticized the NCAA for failing to recognize women's basketball that was played before 1982. She's right. I mean, it's not like this is Stone Ages. This is 1982. It wasn't that long ago. Woodard played from 77 to 81. Bluter also reminded everybody that Woodard played in an era where they played with the larger basketball and had no three-point line, and she still scored all those points. So there, a little history lesson with what Caitlin Clark's taken us down the path of so we can learn all this stuff. By the way, in that game versus Minnesota, lost in all this as well, Clark also became the Big Ten's all-time leader in three-pointers. Former Buckeye Kelsey Mitchell held the previous record with 497 three-pointers from 2014 to 2018. So the NCAA does recognize that. Moving forward, Caitlin Clark, she just 17 points behind LSU men's basketball star Pete Maravich for the all-time scoring record in men's and women's hoops. So another mark lays in front of her. Speaking of basketball, men's basketball now, Michigan State fans, I've heard from a lot of you guys, and you've been sweating out the ups and downs of the Spartans basketball season this season, no doubt. The number one frustration for them seems to be the lack of playing time for 6'11 freshman Xavier Booker. After all, he was a five-star recruit, and there have been times that Michigan State has been struggling, and there have been times they've been struggling inside. You figure a 6'11 five-star recruit, we should put him out there. Well, I think Izzo, after all these years, getting a little tired of answering the questions about Booker. After all, Izzo's been successful for a long time, and he feels he's earned the right to make coaching decisions without being questioned too much about it. He says he hasn't forgotten how to coach in all these years, and he's probably right about that. In fact, Izzo going to double down on his decision-making. He says that he does not regret for one single moment how he has used Booker this season. Izzo actually put Booker into the starting lineup for the first time recently against Ohio State a few days ago. He scored 7 points on that night, included a three-pointer from the big man. He had 3 blocks and 3 rebounds in 17 minutes of play. Not bad. When he was on the floor, the Spartans were plus 11 in the score. Izzo points out, though, that Booker's occasional lapses on defense have become a bit of a liability, and that is what has limited his playing time. In that Ohio State game with Booker on the bench in the second half, the Buckeyes erased a big deficit, came storming back. That's the game they won with the last-second three-pointer at the buzzer at Michigan State. Been the first time in a while that Michigan State has lost back-to-back games at home. Things will not get easier for the Spartans. They go to number 3 Purdue on Saturday, where Michigan State hasn't won since 2014. And then they have to try and contain 7'4", 300-pound Zach Edey. So good luck with all that. All right, on to football for just a minute. As you know, the NFL Combine is going on. The NFL Draft is just less than 2 months away. And Penn State star Chop Robinson is turning some heads. On Thursday, at 254 pounds, he ran a 4.49 40-yard dash. Sub 4.5. A lot of people noticed. A lot of people like that. One NFL insider called him the biggest freak athlete among the draftable players this year. That's something. After starting his career at Maryland, he then transferred over to Penn State. And in 2 years, he helped the Nittany Lions to a 21-5 record and a Rose Bowl win in his 2 seasons at Penn State. The Nittany Lions earned back-to-back 10-win seasons, while Chop and the defense were ranked among the elite defenses in college football. There is debate as to whether Chop goes in the first round or not, or slips to the second round. Usually, my experience is freak athletes who are huge and run sub 4.5 50-yard dashes usually go in the first round. Usually. Finally, this weekend, we got some Big Ten hockey to talk about. First place Michigan State is at second place Wisconsin, and they'll be playing for the Big Ten Conference Championship. Whoever wins that. And it is the only game in the Big Ten that is not on TV this weekend. Go figure. Bad planning there. You can watch it. You have to shell out $10 on Big Ten Plus. All right. Just throwing it out there. Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube. It's called Locked On Sports Today. It's here for you 24/7, and it covers the top sports stories throughout the day, and local experts from Locked On are there. And this show will air there. So you can catch that here, or after this one's over, catch another one. So check it out. Go to Locked On Sports Today and subscribe there. After, if you don't mind, subscribing here on Locked On Big Ten, your team every day. We always go into the weekend with my picks. I put myself out there on the line, tell you who I think is going to win, who's not. We got the 7 basketball games in the Big Ten. We got all that coming up in 1 minute. Hang around. We'll see what your team's going to do, according to me, on Locked On Big Ten. Get buckets right now with your first bet on FanDuel, America's #1 sports book, because right now, new customers get $150 of bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. It's $150 if your team wins. You can bet all your favorite NBA players and teams. They have quick bets, live same-game parlays, exclusive props, everything you can think of. In fact, tonight, Friday Night Hoops, here's my tips of the night. First of all, Cavs at Pistons. Cavaliers have won 27 more games than the Pistons. Cavs are way better than the Pistons. It's Cavs minus 9.5. The Pistons, as bad as they are, they keep it close lately. I think the 9.5 points is too much. I think the Cavs win, but let's take the Pistons on the plus 9.5. It's going to be a closer game than you think. And Pacers Pelicans. This is a system play for me. I always do overs on Pacers games because they always hit the over. Almost always. 238.5. The combined over for this one for Pacers Pelicans. Again, system play, always take the over. Or you can parlay both of those too if you want. Whatever you do, do it with FanDuel. FanDuel.com/lockedon and shoot your shot. FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NBA. All right, it's time to take a look at our picks here for the weekend. Get you ready for a lot of Big Ten basketball. I'm going to put it on the screen here. In case you're audio only, I will describe it as best I can, the best of my ability. Here it is, full screen for you on video. And let me just get rid of my name out of the way. There we go. All right, here we go. Number 13, Illinois is at Wisconsin. That is Saturday, 1 o'clock Eastern on the Big Ten Network. Wisconsin is a train wreck. They just can't get out of their way. It's unreal. This was a top 10 team once upon a time. So was Illinois. They fall to number 13. I like Illinois in this one. I know it's a home game for Wisconsin. Illinois still trying to keep Purdue within its sights to put pressure on them. So I'm going to take the Fighting Illini in this game. At 3:15 on the Big Ten Network, that's a weird time, TV time. Penn State at Minnesota. Both these teams trying to grab some momentum going into March here. I could flip a coin on this one. If it were at home, I'd go with Penn State, but I'm going to go with Minnesota in this one because it's a home game there. Iowa is at Northwestern at 5:30 on the Big Ten Network. Every time I pick against Iowa and they win, I hear about it from you fans on the comments on YouTube. That's cool. But Northwestern at home, boo-booey, I got to go with the Wildcats here. Also on Saturday night, 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern on Fox, Michigan State is at Purdue. I don't want Purdue's ranking on there at number 3. This is Purdue all the way. Purdue all the way. They're at the finish line. They got to close out the season. Purdue is going to win this game. Sorry, Tom Izzo. And we'll see how that goes. Sunday, 2 o'clock. We got a doubleheader on CBS. Indiana is at Maryland. Indiana, they fought. They got a win against Wisconsin. Those were two struggling teams. Now on the road, Indiana always struggles at Maryland. Maryland at home, I will take the Terps. And the later game at 4 o'clock is Michigan at Ohio State. This is, we're winding it down for Juwan Howard. Ohio State's actually playing better lately since the coaching change. I'll take the Buckeyes on this one. And Rutgers at Nebraska, 6:30 on the Big Ten Network. All due respect to Rutgers, Nebraska at home is a different ball club. You've heard me talk about this time and time again. I'm going to stick with that. Nebraska wins this game. Those are my picks. Again, Illinois over Wisconsin, Minnesota over Penn State, Northwestern over Iowa. We're going to take Purdue over Michigan State. We're going to take Maryland over Indiana, Ohio State over Michigan, and Nebraska wins against Rutgers. So that is how I see it going to the weekend. You can agree or disagree. Hit me up as usual. And you could find me at our website, talkbig10number10.com, and also at Twitter, at X, at talkbig10number10, and the comments on YouTube. Love it. So that's it. How we head into the weekend. And hope you enjoy all the basketball games. Starting to get serious now. Tournaments are women start next week, and then the men start the week after that for conference tournaments. Again, hit me up at Twitter, the website, or on YouTube. Be sure, if you don't mind, to subscribe, please, and follow this podcast right now on your favorite podcast app, and you get the latest episode of Lockdown Big Ten as soon as it becomes available each and every day. And if you don't mind, tell your friends about us. Just, shooting a breeze over the weekend. Hey, you're a Big Ten fan. You're a Big Ten alum. Guess what? Locked On Big Ten is there for you every day. Ask them to check us out. And also, don't forget, Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube as well, called Locked On Sports Today. You might want to check that one out. Got another episode of Locked On Big Ten here, but also feel free to check out Locked On Sports Today as well. That will do it. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. I'm planning on doing so as well. We'll talk to you on Monday. Serious basketball to talk about. A lot of storylines I'm already digging up, already excited, preparing for Monday's podcast. I can't wait. So thanks for checking us out. I'm Craig Sheeman for Locked On Big Ten.